topic, as you could see on the title, was flexibility, the power of the happy medium. I know I told you guys that I was gonna try to write like a topic of the week and have these little talks every week. And but for writing is a form of art. So in a way, when you write, you also want to have the muse. The muse needs to be like alive and kicking, and it needs to, well, I don't know. Maybe my dear friend AJ could understand me better. So, flexibility, the power of the happy medium. Imagine holding a rope. On one end is everything you want. On the other is everything life gives you. Most of us spend our lives pulling as hard as we can toward what we believe is fair, deserved, or right. Sometimes we win, sometimes life doesn't budge, doesn't move. I used to think strength meant never compromising. That if I just work harder, believed more, planned better, or stay patient long enough, eventually life would reward me with exactly what I wanted. But adulthood has a strange way of teaching us that life isn't a courtroom. It doesn't hand out verdicts based on who was right. It hands us circumstances, and circumstances don't always care about fairness. One of the hardest lessons I've learned is this: you can be completely right and still need to compromise. Not because you're weak, not because you have given up, not because reality sometimes asks a different question. Not who deserves to win, but how do we move forward? There's a huge difference between surrendering your values and adjusting your expectations. Many people confuse flexibility with losing. And they're not the same thing. I mean, I live in Hurricane Alley, so actually, like, hurricanes, it's like the road of hurricanes, and I'm like right in the middle, right? So think about a tree during a hurricane. The strongest looking tree isn't always the one that survives. And I have seen it in my country. Palm trees, they bend. And some areas have bamboos here and they bend. And you go after the storm. I have lived like through two major hurricanes. And you go out, and sometimes the biggest trees, the ones that are very strong and huge, you can see them, roots out, sitting on their side. I mean, laying on their side. But then you see these palm trees standing tall, and you say, okay, what the heck happened here? So often it's the one that bends that actually survives. It gives away just enough to avoid breaking. Then when the storm passes, it stands again. Flexibility isn't weakness, it's intelligent resilience. Most of the time, I think we celebrate determination, like never quit, never settle, fight for your dreams. And those are beautiful messages, don't get me wrong, until life becomes more complicated. What happens when your dream changes because your health changes? When your finance change? When your family needs you? When circumstances outside your control completely rewrite the story? Sometimes determination without flexibility becomes stubbornness, and stubbornness can quietly become suffering. There's something psychologists call, I'm not a psychologist, and please don't ever take my cozy talks for therapy. If you feel that you need a therapist, go to a therapist. But there's something psychologists call cognitive flexibility. It's the ability to adapt our thinking when reality changes. And I feel we are missing that nowadays in our world. I feel that people, I'm not gonna call out any generation, because I have seen it in boomers, in Gen X, in us millennials. I have seen it everywhere. So people with higher cognitive flexibility tend to recover from setbacks more easily, not because they experience less pain, but because they don't waste all of their energy arguing with reality. Acceptance is not agreement. Acceptance is simply says, this is where I am. Only then can you ask, now what? What should I do now? I remember telling a friend of mine that she was telling me, oh, cause you know, how did you did it with college? I come from a poor family. And I said, you know what was the first step? Accepting that I was poor, that my dad didn't have any money, not even to pay a community college, not even to pay the government university, and that I had to do something about it, that I needed a scholarship, that I needed to find a job. I mean, but everything happened from one starting point, which was acceptance. You need to accept the place where life has put you. And I was telling my friend, if you gain weight and you're now a size 14 and you want to wear jeans, but then you say, I'm not going to wear jeans because I'm a size 14 or 20 or whatever the size, and I don't fit in them, what do? Oh, I start to diet. No, you go to the store and you buy the jeans that fit comfortably. And then you do something if you want to lose weight. But you are not going to stay there, I'm not wearing jeans because until I fit on those jeans. No, man, go ahead and wear the jeans, buy the jeans. And what happens when you lose the weight? Well, you give them away. I don't know where I am at, but I know I need help, says 14. You know what, 14? You don't have to know where you are. I was there in the same place, not knowing where I was. And I have said this in many of my streams. The biggest, more important investment and thing I have done for Nuna in her entire life was not getting married. It was not having kids. It was not buying a house. It was not buying a car. It was not having investments. No, it was going to therapy. I went to therapy and I told the therapist, you know what? I don't know what's going on with me, but I know I need help. And when you said that, I felt so identified, because you know what my therapist told me? You were smart enough to know that you need help and to search for it. And that's what I did. I ended up in therapy. I spent almost 4 years going to therapy, and I have told this story a bunch of times here on the stream. And I feel up to this day that has been the best investment I have done in myself. It was not easy, because when you go to therapy, you have to face your own demons. And some of those demons are demons that you don't even know you had. And you sit down with them. But, and there were sessions of therapy that I came out of the session and I got home. I went to the shower and I cried for 40 minutes. And I went to bed exhausted. And days I ask myself, I don't know if therapy is destroying me more than what is actually helping me. There were days that I had doubts. So I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna say, oh, therapy is so pretty. No, it's not necessarily pretty. But you know what? There comes a day when you say, oh my gosh, I'm understanding myself. I have been in out of therapy for 25 years. Okay, there's something about therapy, so just you know. Sometimes we are dealing with stuff, right? And that stuff gets solved in therapy. And then we go out and we're okay, and then we have to go back. So I hear a lot of people telling me, I have been in and out of therapy, and I always ask the same thing. Did you get out of therapy because you thought you were doing better, or because your therapist told you that you didn't have to go anymore? Because if you went out because you felt better, your issues may not have been resolved. I went out of therapy, honestly, because my therapist told me, I mean, you have graduated. You can come here anytime, whenever you feel like it, but I mean, no more therapy sessions for you. That's one thing. And the other thing I want to say about therapy, listen to me. A good therapist, one that has like a full wall of diplomas, is a good choice. But for therapy to work, you need to make a click with your therapist. You need to find that therapist. And it took me a while. I mean, I went to 5 therapists until the 6th one was the one that kind of nailed it with me, right? And I made that connection with that therapist. Not because the person lacks knowledge, but when we're talking about healing our traumas and understanding that healing is not a destination, that healing is actually like an entire journey that lasts the rest of your life, that's when you kind of click and say, you know what, this is a place, this is a therapist. Reason 1, 2, and 3, probably. Although I thought I got better, they told me that I was kind of done, and the third reason is my insurance stopped paying, so I got kicked out. Okay, insurance, money. That's why whenever somebody tells me money doesn't give you happiness, no, but it gives you therapy, and it gives you a bunch of things that will help you with your whatever you're going through. And this has to do with flexibility. Listen, if your insurance stop paying, I mean, my insurance, in my country, insurance doesn't cover therapy. So we're doomed here. But there are always programs where you can find either very cheap therapy or even some programs where you can get therapy for free. The thing is, you have to invest a lot of time looking for those. But at the end, you're gonna be the one getting the benefit out of it. No, you see, let me tell you something. In my very last session of therapy, he told me life will get better. People, we have to be more, we have to be more, how can I say this without sounding nasty, but we need to get, not every therapist is a good therapist. Like, not every human is a good human, right? So listen to me. A therapist is not going to solve your problems. So a therapist will never, and that is a red flag on therapy. If a therapist tells you life will get better, that's something I will tell you as a friend. I'm not a therapist. I will tell you, and life will get better, 14. Even if you got out of there and you had an accident, a car accident, yeah, life will get better. But do you know, I don't believe in luck, by the way. Do you know what a therapist gives you? It doesn't give you a life will get better. A therapist will give you tools, the necessary tools based on your traumas, based on your very specific situations that you will use to serve when life gets shitty. Because get these people, do you know why I'm talking about flexibility today? Because life gets shitty. And sometimes you can spend, like I did, 7 years into a very shitty reality. That's it. That's life. And it's happened to 14. It's happened to me. And it will happen to every one of you. And if by some chance some of you do not ever go into that horrible time of your lives, you know what? Congratulations. But you're the minority. Everyone out there. My mother used to say in Spanish, like, consuelo de mucho, problema de muchos, consuelo de tontos, which is basically, like say, I'm trying to, like I'm saying everybody's going through a hard time, to feel less bad is like a fool thing to do. But it's the truth. It's the truth. So, what are you supposed to get out of therapy? Yes, I'm finished, silly. You are supposed to get tools. Tools. Like for me, my therapist told me, listen, Nuna, you cannot watch the news. Your anxiety and your brain cannot deal with that. Nuna doesn't watch the news. Every now and then, my husband keeps me posted on some important things. You know what? Oh, silly, no, I think I'm gonna be okay. I guess it's a skill issue after all. So, life will be cheaty. I don't know, maybe because I was born in poverty, maybe because I was raised with food missing, a not so safe neighborhood. I learned it at a very early age. I'm just gonna make you like 2 NTE questions, but not now. Like, I'm gonna send them by Discord. Something, it doesn't have to do with this new gameplay, but I think that you may be able to help me out. So life is shitty, you know. And yes, life does get better at some point. But what are you supposed to do in the meantime? Are you supposed to drown? No. So a good therapist is not gonna send you home with life will get better, you know. No. A good therapist is gonna tell you, you know what? Your life is shitty right now. And what you need to do is do this, do that. I do certain stuff during the day that I learned in therapy, like, and I have talked about it like here on the stream. I do a bunch of times a day. I have when I'm running high on anxiety and I need grounding techniques. My therapist told me the grounding techniques and I do those. So it's the tools, people. You never heal in therapy, you know, because the wound is there. Therapy will not erase the bad memory of whatever happened to you. What therapy gives you are tools that will teach you how to confront those demons, because those demons or memories or trauma, whatever you want to call it, they live within you. And what you learn in therapy is how to tell the demon, fuck no, not now. Not now, little memory. You're not coming, and if you're coming, I have the tools to go heads on. So, yes, life will get better. It will get better. If that therapist only told you that and didn't give you tools to like fight your demons when you're all by yourself, that is not a good therapist, even if you click with that therapist. Because let me tell you, sometimes we go to therapy and we don't want to cry. We don't want the therapist to tell us anything. It's like when friends tell me, Nuna, can you be honest? I tell them, don't ask me to be honest, because I'm gonna tell you as it is, and maybe I'm gonna break your heart. So do you want honesty or do you want me to comfort you? Because those are two different things. My face is how I fight my demons. I do it with music, and I have a punching bag. Actually, the punching bag was something I bought after therapy, because my therapist had these, it was not a punching bag, it was like these kind of puppet or something that you hit with a bat. And I realized that sometimes I do hold like a lot of negative energy that I need to let out, and I am not a sporty person, so I got myself a punching bag. There you go. He made you happy to be you, and he made you happy to be proud of yourself. So now you have to ask yourself, why now I am not feeling happy to be myself and I am not feeling proud to be myself? Why now not? And why in the past yes? Sometimes, and I guess I shared that a few months ago, someone asked me, Nuna, why didn't you stream? And I said, oh, because I was in therapy. Because every now and then, you know, I make an appointment when I'm feeling like things are brewing, and I sit down with my therapist. Why? Well, so why? I'm sorry. Because I lost my happiness, I lost my anchor, I lost my smile. Do you know why? Because your happiness was outside yourself. And so, I'm sorry. My dog was whining, and I don't know, it's usually not, he was acting like not himself. And we had an earthquake like night, like at 1 a.m. And he usually does that a little bit before earthquakes are gonna happen. So that was a weird silence. Anyways, I'm back. If there's an earthquake, there's an earthquake. So the sixth sense, Doggo. Yeah, sometimes he does that. So I was just making sure because we do have that. Well, there you go. You know, I'm no therapist for him, but let me tell you, we are born alone. And eventually, one day, all of us are gonna make a travel and we're gonna become a stardust again. And we will do that alone. Like, even if you leave this world with a bunch of other people, the travel is yours. I have two daughters and I have a husband, and I love them to pieces. I had my parents, may they rest in peace, wherever they are, and they meant the world to me. You see? And if one day life, for whatever reason, decides to take all that from me, happiness, it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna be sad, but it doesn't also mean that I cannot be happy again. It's all part of a mourning process. So probably what you are going through is through mourning, like you are experiencing the loss of circumstances where your happiness was placed into. And mourning is a very difficult process, and I strongly suggest that you go back to therapy to, if you feel you're stuck in that process, to get people to get a therapist to help you process your mourning. And that's it. Because your happiness doesn't belong to anybody else but you. All of us have the ability to be happy again. My mother-in-law lost one of her sons, right? My brother-in-law died in an airplane accident. It was something that devastated the entire family. But my mother-in-law, as her mother, imagined the pain. I am a mother and I cannot begin to imagine the pain she went through. And my mother-in-law is traveling right now. It's been a bunch of years since that happened, and he was an adult when that happened, actually. And she's smiling. She has found smiling opportunities again, and she's enjoying life again. Does that mean she forgot about her son? No. Does that mean her trauma was eliminated from her life? No. I had a partner at some point in my life that was the light of my eyes. You know, all my happiness was there. He was perfect for me. And when that relationship ended, I spent like a year in a basement, people. I was not good, but here I am. Does that mean that I don't remember that painful moment? No, but it means I heal. You know, that I can look back at it, see what I learned from that, and see what I missed as well. Thank you, Nuna. Your words and your kind demeanor really does help. Thank you for this. You're welcome. My internet died. No, it doesn't matter. It didn't die. It will come back. So, talking about the happy medium, this is life. You see what we have been discussing? This is why we need flexibility and the happy medium I'm talking about today. Because I think many of us spend years waiting for life to become reasonable, for people to apologize, for justice to arrive, for that boyfriend that kicked our butts out to come back, say, forget me, my love, I love you. For circumstances to make change. But sometimes they never do. That's the truth. And if our happiness depends on life finally behaving fairly, we are giving away control of our peace. The happy medium isn't pretending everything is okay. Okay, I want to make that very clear. This hurts, and I can still move forward. That's what it means. I didn't deserve this, and I can still build a beautiful life. That is a happy medium. This isn't what I wanted, and maybe there's another path worth exploring. That is flexibility. Compromise often gets a bad reputation. We hear the word and imagine settling, lowering our standards, giving up. But healthy compromise isn't about abandoning yourself. It's recognizing that perfection is rarely available. Think about relationships, friendships, parenting, marriage, work. None of them survive without compromise. If everyone insists on being completely right all the time, eventually nobody stays. Here is something that I wish someone had told me years ago. There are 3 things that I believe are worth he sent me to this place where there were like old people, like how do you call those, like it's like a retirement house or something, that it was run by nuns. And I went there. He said, like, the only thing I ask from you is that you're gonna go over there every day from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and you're gonna do some community service there, help the nuns, see what the old people want. People, I was a totally different person 4 days later. Why? Because my mind went to that place on day one totally because my father almost took me there by a hand, not because I wanted to go. And I went in, and all of a sudden, all these old people were telling me, "You're so pretty," or, "Well, I'm here because of this," or I saw like people that could not eat by themselves, that the nuns had to feed them, and I was feeding them, and some of them had dementia and they didn't want the food, and I had to fake like I was eating the food. And I came out the first day, and my dad didn't tell me anything, but I went home and I asked what's for dinner. And then months later, my dad and I told my dad that I was grateful because he made me do that. And I realized I also started like rescuing dogs and stuff at the time, and cats. By caring for others, in a way, I realized the privileges that I had. And this person and the entire situation was out of my head. It was like gone, boom chakalaka. And I told my dad, I realized that I'm healing because I don't think about this anymore. And my dad said, "Do you know when did I know you were in the healing path? The first day you went over there, you came back home and you asked for dinner, something you haven't done in months. You're not too young, Tar. You will be there one day." So that was the first question. What is essential in your life? Though your values, your integrity, your health, your kindness, the person that you are, that's what is essential. And that requires the most of your energy. If something or someone is not protecting your core, then it hurts. When they leave, yes, it hurts, but do not put so much energy there. Something else I wish I knew is ask myself, what can bend? Maybe the timeline, maybe the methods, maybe the expectations. Sometimes changing the route doesn't mean changing the destination. So that's something I asked myself back then, not like this question, but taking the same example I have been talking about from my own life. It was like, okay, what can bend? The person next to me. What do I want in the next person? This boyfriend of mine, I was in college with a scholarship. I was giving it my all, people, because I either got the grades that the scholarship needed me to have, or I don't know, I wouldn't be in college because my family had no money. So I had no options. And this person was having a problem with the time I was dedicating to college. Like, "Oh, you're taking away the time from me." Well, maybe if you stop playing basketball, Roberto, and go to college. By the way, that was not the real name. And you go to college, you would understand where I stand. So what did I say? I want someone that respects my timelines, that respects my pace, and that respects the person that Nuna is trying to become. And that's what I got in my husband. Can you rescue me too? I would be more than glad to rescue. So maybe also people, sometimes we put expectations on others. Like we get to this new job and we say like, "Oh, this is going to be the most amazing job ever." And then it's a snake nest. And we have like expectations for people as well. It's normal that humans have expectations. The problem is when reality crashes against those expectations, we gotta learn to say, what can I bend here? And finally, what am I refusing to accept because my pride is louder than reality? And that is a very uncomfortable question, and that is one that I actually learned in therapy, but it's often the one that set us free. It was like, what are you refusing to accept? Do you want me to tell you with all due honesty what I was refusing to accept back in those days? I was refusing to accept that I had chosen a mediocre person as my boyfriend, that I had made a wrong choice in love, that I matched with someone that was not meeting my expectations. That is what I was refusing to accept, and that's why I was suffering. The minute I sat down and I realized about it, and I said, you know what? I mean, I'm size 8 and he's like size 2, so no, we cannot be together. That day, I saw him as a size 2 jeans, right? And that realization set me free. I was like a different Nuna from then on. By the way, in case you want to know, I found these guys years later, and he had the nerve. We have like friends in common, and he had the nerve to tell me he never went to college, that he didn't go to college because I didn't make him go to college. And that day, deep in my mind, I said, same size 2 jeans, baby. You were not gonna be able to hold these hips. Never ever in your life. So the happiest people I have met in my life are the one whose lives are not the one whose lives unfolded perfectly. They are the ones who learn the art of adjustment. They grieve what they lost, because you have to grieve. I'm not telling you not to grieve or not to cry. Grieve, cry, and if you feel life is being unfair to you, get yourself a punching bag, as I have one. Accept what you cannot control, because we cannot control everything. And they have adapted to what remain and built joy anyway. So whenever life sends me like a hard curve, I decide to make it work. Another like lore stuff, like Nuna lore stuff, right? When my oldest daughter, many of you maybe don't know, but I went through infertility and I had some issues to get pregnant. I spent a lot of money. And when my oldest was born and she was 9 years old, my mother-in-law fell through the stairs holding my baby. My mother-in-law got 3 ribs broken because she tried to protect the baby as much as she could. And my daughter got like a small fracture that, thanks the heavens, didn't totally open. It was like a little crack in the middle of her skull. I was arriving to pick her up because I was working at the time in the corporate world. And, I just heard the cry from outside. When I went in, my daughter semi-conscious in the floor, my mother-in-law in the floor. We pick everybody, put it in our truck and drove to the hospital. And I remember my husband crying when he was driving. And my mother-in-law and everybody was hysterical. And I said, at that time, I had gone through therapy there. I said, you know what? This is what I got. This is life right now. So I'm gonna make the best of this. There are 2 options here. Those were my thoughts, people. 1, my baby is gonna leave. How is she gonna leave? What's gonna happen? I don't know, but she's gonna be alive. And the other one is, I'm gonna lose my baby. That's what I thought. What can I do now? I don't know which one of the 2 is going to happen, because I didn't have control over that, right? And I said, I choose to make this moment one of peace for my baby. So I said in the car, my husband still talks to me about it now. He goes like, I can't believe you said that. And I said in the car, like, everybody shut up. And I started to sing a song that I used to sing to my baby back in those days. And And I started to sing that song. And I sang the song all the way until we got to the hospital. They took the baby in, of course, they run tests, blah, blah, blah. And they said, she had to stay in the hospital a few days for observation. And during those 4 days, whenever someone came to visit, I told them, you're going in and we're happy in here. Because I wanted the doctor to tell me your baby is gonna live and it's gonna be okay. Because if that was not the option I was gonna get, I was gonna make whatever time my 9-month-old had a happy moment. The doctor came, your daughter is leaving the hospital tomorrow. She spent like 5 days in the hospital. She has to come for some checkups, but nothing major happened, thank God. And then I collapsed, of course. At the end of the 4 days, when they told me everything was gonna be fine, that's when I fainted, that's when Nuna collapsed, everything. But what did I learn? Can I control what happens? No, I can't. But I decided at that time that I was gonna build peace, at least, and a nice moment for my daughter. I suck it up like a big girl, right? Then I collapsed. Does that mean that thing still gives me nightmare? By the way, I had to go to therapy after that because I was so traumatized. But I had to accept that I was living a reality that I couldn't control. And I had to adapt to what remained. What remained? My daughters. I don't know if you have seen a movie that's called Coneheads. It's like a very old movie. That's the way that the head of my daughter looked. Look for the movie on the internet. So, flexibility is not about expecting less from life. It's about expecting life to change and becoming someone who can change with it. And those changes, I can adapt pretty quickly and pretty happy if I won the lottery. I can. Have you seen it? Me too. I used to love that movie. But if it's good things, if you get money, right? If you get a promotion at work, when you get a new boyfriend, girlfriend, or partner, right? Those are things we adapt pretty quickly and happy. The problem is when we have to adapt to the things that we do not necessarily like. So maybe today you're holding on to something tightly, a plan, a relationship, an expectation, a version of yourself, and ask yourself, is holding on making me stronger or simply making me tired? Because sometimes courage isn't refusing to bend. Sometimes courage is loosening your grip just enough to discover a new path you never would have seen otherwise. And life doesn't always give us what reasons says we deserve. Because if you ask me, I didn't deserve my daughter to have that accident. And I have not deserved 99% of the things that have happened to me ever in my life. I have not deserved any one of them. I consider myself to be a nice person, a good person. But sometimes life gives us something we do not deserve. And I have decided, that's me, Nuna, to take that as an opportunity to maybe become wiser, kinder, more resilient, more compassionate. That doesn't mean I don't suffer. I suffer, and quite a lot. Not despite the detours, but because of them, I feel that the happy medium isn't halfway between winning and losing. It's the place where peace finally becomes more important than being right. And perhaps that's where I think the real strength begins. You see, it's there, you said it. It's not making you hurt, it's making you tired. You see, sometimes when we hold on to things for so long, we get tired. And do you know what happens when we get tired? Because I have been there. Sometimes we get this crazy idea that letting go means that we are the ones that should go. The ability to love of humans is so big that sometimes people and of course, mental situations make you believe that letting go means that you need to get out of the picture. Hi, Impulse. Thank you so much for the hydrate reminders. I hope your errands go well today. I do need water. Sometimes we get what we deserve, some others we don't. The problem is, again, to what are we holding on to? I used to be that person, and I have a friend that actually told me at one point, "Oh, Nuna, you have changed so much." And yes, I did. I changed. I have changed a lot, I used to hold on to people. I'm gonna tell you like a few examples of things Nuna used to do that I don't do anymore. I used to be the one that always called. Always calling everybody, always following up with people, always adjusting my schedule, always trying to solve other people's problem, always helping. Am I still that Nuna? In a way, yes. What did I change? I realized that Nuna was a privilege, and that Nuna could only exist with those that earned the privilege to see that side of Nuna. I understood that I was a privilege. I know, maybe it's sounding like I'm a little brat, but I am a privilege because I am one heck of a friend. I am one heck of a human being. I go out there, and if I see something that I feel it's gonna harm you, I'm gonna try to eliminate that. Yes, prepare yourself. When you get there, I'm gonna coach you. So it's like, if you're a good person, if you're out there trying to do the right things, if you're out there giving your love, your compassion, your time, your attention to people, to the workplace, to whatever, like, why should you give that to people, workplaces, and situations where that thing is not valued? And then I have people that tell me, "Oh, you have changed." Yes, I have changed, because if every day it's me, the one calling you to find out how you are, and you don't give a heck if I'm okay, if you don't call me for my birthday, if you don't give me back, and I hear a lot, love is not transactional. The heck it is. The heck is transactional. Work, relationships, everything is transactional in this world. Because if you go out there and you give yourself out to people, listen, this is coming from someone that was a staircase for more than half of her life. So this is coming from experience. If you go out there and you give yourself, and there are days when you give yourself to someone you love, and that someone you love cannot give themselves back. That is okay, because we're talking about flexibility, right? But every month, did you see, like, every month you sit down with your credit card statements, bank statements, and you find out, did I spend more than I could, right? You have to do the same thing with relationships. Go out there, at the end of the month, you sit down. And you have to reevaluate. And I have people that were in the friendship area of Nuna's life, and they were demoted. Not everybody is, not everybody is born to enjoy the privilege that you are. You need to understand that. And sometimes the problem is that we give everything to a person, and with time that person thinks that they are entitled to your privilege. And they start taking you for granted. Probably because we love so much that we don't set the right boundaries, you know? And then one day that person, it becomes tiring because you put in all the effort. Imagine we're building a house, right? That is a relationship. And when I'm talking about relationships, it's not only like relationships of like partners and stuff, where I'm also about friendship, everything. You're building a relationship with someone. That's two people that have decided to build a house. But imagine that one of those people sits down and only give you directions. Like, hey, Nuna, carry the blocks now. Hey, I want you to design a basement and I want you to make an attic on that house. Hey, can you plant a tree? And you are there doing the hard job. What do you think it's gonna happen? There's gonna be one day that you're gonna snap. You're gonna feel tired. And maybe you design the attic, but you don't do it in the way that that person wanted the attic to be. And then that person tells you, hi, Mel, welcome, Miss. It's always so nice to see you, Mel. And then you design the attic, but you forgot to paint the wall of the attic pink because that was the color they told you, but you forgot because you have been carrying the blocks and everything, only you without help. And then that person tells you, oh, you don't love me because you didn't paint the wall. I mean, go to hell, other person. I'm sorry. So the job of building that house, which is like the relationship, needs to be fair. Listen, I'm not talking about 50-50 here. I'm talking about that it needs to be fair. An example. Imagine you're a friend with someone like I am, right, which is autistic plus has social anxiety, and she has a lot of trouble getting together in crowded places, like going to a cafe. Oh no, you're not, Mel. So what happens? What is fair in that situation? You say, I love my friend so much, and I know she has that situation. So we're gonna get together in my house, in your house, or in a place where that person feels comfortable. And that person at the same time is gonna acknowledge and it's gonna say, my friend Nuna, like she does, is so nice to me because I know she likes going to cafes and she likes to be, but I mean, she takes care of me whenever we get together. And that person does things for me, right? That I know she does them as a way to say, thank you, my friend, for taking that into consideration. So, again, a relationship is a house. If you are suffering right now because you have been putting the blocks, you have been doing the hard job, usually that suffering comes from tiredness, not from sadness itself. What makes you sad is the fact that you put so much effort into building and building and building, and then people around you doesn't build with you and they expect you to build a house as they like, and you're always the one like putting in. When you sit down at the end of the month to evaluate that, you are going to have like a minus something at the end of the profit and loss. And that means that no relationship can sustain that. So sometimes we stick around people because they're family, because society tells us, no, you have to suck it up. Listen, people. Sometimes you don't have to suck it up. If something is draining you, if you have put on the effort to kind of work the relationship and it's not working, maybe it's time to step away and let them feel what they're missing. Because you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. What do you think that at some point in the day, one of these millionaires, let's talk about Elon Musk, right? Imagine Elon Musk waking up. Do you think he goes to buy, well, probably he doesn't even go to buy groceries, but imagine, right, like he wants to eat salmon. Do you think Elon Musk is worried because he doesn't have any money to eat salmon? He's not worried about that because he knows he has the money, right? But let us imagine that one day he wakes up and he wants salmon. And there's no salmon, and he tries to buy salmon, and the credit cards are blocked, and he doesn't have any money. And that day he has to eat not the salmon he wants, but whatever he has in the fridge. Not that that's gonna happen. This is just an example, okay? That's the moment when he's going to realize that he had a privilege. So that day, he is going to realize, this is my privilege. So sometimes we need to step away for people to realize that they have been eating salmon all along without paying a dime. No, sometimes people need to feel your absence. And you get to have the decision what to do, because most of the time when people feel our absence and they realize, I lost the good Nuna. I don't have access to the good Nuna. Most of the time, something happens, and it's they come back. Crawling with their little tail, between their legs. Hi, how are you? And they try to come back into your life. And that's where you must sit down with yourself and remember all the tiredness. And say, you know what? You don't go back to the square that has the Nuna privilege. I'm not your enemy. I have nothing against you. If I have to help you one day, I will do it. But you no longer have access to me because you had that privilege and you lost it. That has nothing to do with flexibility, but it has to do with life. However, again, we do gotta learn to be flexible. Sometimes people make mistakes and they will come back, little tail between the legs, and you will recognize and say, this person made a mistake. I'm gonna forgive them. I'm gonna give them access to me again. But if that shit happens like 2 times, 3 times, first time was a mistake. The second time was a choice. And that's where that's the boundary, at least in my case. I don't give more than one opportunity. I always tell people, this is your first opportunity and the only one you're having. It's like if I ban someone and then you write me and you apologize, and I feel that I can give you an opportunity. I will give you an opportunity, but let me tell you, hold on to that opportunity as if it's gold. Because if I have to do it again, I don't care if the Pope, if Allah himself comes from heaven, it doesn't matter who's coming, I'm not gonna give you another opportunity. That's a hell I am dying at. I'm dying for. That's my hell. Like, you got one opportunity from Nuna if she thinks you are fair enough. If she understands the reasons the situation gives you. That's as much flexible as I can be, is one opportunity. Damn, I have to think what I say from now on. No, that's okay. You have always been impeccable on my streams. I'm just putting examples out there that are somehow, thank you, Ari, that are somehow feasible, like things we live in on the day. Let me tell you, I used to go to the supermarket. This is something like ordinary life. Usually when I go to a supermarket, I'm like a nice person, you know. It's like I'm always saying hi, and my husband says that I am friends with everyone that works at the supermarket, and people kind of recognize me because that's the person I am. I mean, when I'm in a good mood, because when I'm in a bad mood, I recognize that I have some devil side of me that I don't like. But well, most of the time I am the angel Nuna. So there was this person working at a supermarket. She was a cashier, or she is, I don't know. And her line was always empty. And I learned why the first time that I went to her line, because it was empty, and I said, okay, there's nobody there, Nuna will go. And the problem was the attitude of that person. Probably that person was going through a bunch of things, you know, etc., 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 which I understand. But she was rude, you know, and I try, and my husband would tell me, oh, but she's so rude, let's go over to the other ones, even if we have to wait. And I would say, you know, yeah, but let me go over there. You know, I thought that I could win her over. And I mean, all my all my effort was futile. Like, she didn't want anything to do with me, you know. And at that moment I said, you know, I accept that I don't have what I need to make this person understand. I mean she wants to be miserable and alone. I'm gonna give it to her. And that's it. It was like if instead of 12 lines in that supermarket, the supermarket had only 11. That's what I did. Right? You know, sometimes when the lines are long and the manager comes and tells you something along the lines like, oh, look, you can move to the other line. No. If the manager came, I will tell him, no, that's okay. I'm going to wait. Like, no, I'll stay here. Don't worry. And then one day the manager calls me and tells me, like, I mean, I have noticed you seem to be avoiding that line. I have been going to the same supermarket for a bunch of years, so, and I said, I'm gonna be honest, but I it's like we don't click. It's not her problem, it's mine. But we don't click. I mean, she still continues working on the supermarket. And then at one specific Christmas time, I went to the supermarket and I gave like little gifts to everybody. I usually do that, like I bake cookies and I make ponche, which is like eggnog, and I take it to all of them. And my husband is very polite, and he tells me, like, aren't you gonna give that woman? And I said, no, because the cookies and the eggnogs are a privilege that belong to those that have a little piece of Nuna's heart. That is not being petty. Nobody can enjoy the privilege if they have not earned the privilege. Period. That's it. You are, remember that, everybody. There is, by the way, there is this trend going on Instagram about this guy that says to sing this song like, every little cell inside my body, every little thing is happy and well. Every little cell inside my body, every little cell is happy and well. I'm so glad. Well, every little cell inside your body is happy and well, and you are one heck of a miracle. And you are one heck of a privilege. Again, if you're not out there like stabbing people on the back, robbing banks, being a politician, well, if you're not doing that shit, you are a fantastic human. And you're a privilege. So you cannot be accessible to everybody. Your feet is older than the dinosaurs. No, no. But what I'm saying is, when you understand that what you have to give is something that is so precious right now in the world. Like, the world needs good people. The world needs people that share love and kindness, people that care about others, people that help you through the hard times. That's what the world needs. Do you know why it needs? If you go to college and study business as I did, you will realize that is like, when you're talking about products to be produced, right? You produce what the market is demanding, right? The market right now is the word, and the market is demanding because we are living a crisis of kindness, of love, of human connection. People nowadays don't care about others. So if you find a human being out there that cares about you, that takes care of you, that respects you, that treats you well, man, you're so privileged. And then there are a bunch of humans out there trying to do that, and then people take them for granted. Until after 6 o'clock. That's fine. At least they're telling you it's gonna come on the same day. If you were in my third world country with no internet, I can assure you it would be like a whole day or something. But as I say, now go ahead. You know what you need to do? Don't be left alone with your thoughts. Fight the thoughts with your fist. Embark yourself into something that is not the internet. Open a window, call somebody. Well, there's nowadays you guys don't have landlines, because I do have a landline. I'm old, oh my gosh. But well, whatever. Go out to jog. Bake cookies. Get to cook. You can also draw a picture of whatever is bothering you and, I don't know, cut it like in a million pieces and then burn them. Go out, run. Usually exercise is a good solution or something. At least for me. So, people, it has been like a long talk, but I did wanted to talk about flexibility. We talk about a bunch of things. The most important thing is, I wish, this is something I wish, right? Imagine that Nuna was God. I would have designed a world fair. I wouldn't have given humans no libre albedrío, no like freedom, whatever. No, I would be like a god, like the heavenly principles on Genshin. Everybody would be getting, although the heavenly principles are unfair, but I would be like directing everybody's life to make it fair. But because Nuna is no god and that cannot be attained in any means, we are sadly little humans down here. By the way, if you haven't seen the movie Hail Mary, watch it. Highly recommended. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, and you are going to see a perspective on humanity that I really loved it. I guess I have talked about it 3 times. So, again, do your best to understand that good people are good people not because life is fair, but because they are convinced that that is the way that they can live their lives with peace of mind. Not necessarily happiness. I'm talking about peace of mind. Sometimes you have peace of mind, but you're not happy. Remember that you are unique. Remember that you are a privilege. Yeah, dystopian world made my Nuna. Would you imagine? Everybody would love cookies. The first thing, I believe rent shouldn't exist. The having a home and the land should belong to the people. So I don't know how I would do that. Maybe I would cut it like if it's a cake, the entire earth, and give everyone like the little bit piece of land or something. But of course, none of you would have freedom of anything because I would be directly in everybody. I mean, leadership was a skill that was also always got a very high level in all my evaluations when I was in the corporate world. It was like leadership and fairness. So you would have like a very good God, but I do have my days, so if you delete rain, I would build a sky and take the throne myself. No, I wouldn't delete rain. I love rain. So the thing is, sometimes we need to find the happy medium. The happy medium between the life that we want and the life we were handed. And I think it's where strength actually begins. So thank you for hanging around today with me. It was Monday. I prefer rain over days where it's hotter than 100 degrees. Me too. I mean, rain is good. I don't know. I'd rather have rain, honestly. But I mean, I like fall.